going to press the record button. All right, so good morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning at our Mindful Wednesday AM Mindful Writing Circle. We do this every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time being in the US. Who we are, we're a group of creative people who use this time to be able to help us to build a creative wellness habit. So some of us are writers, painters, creators of all different kinds, rather. And our goal is to live a life worth writing about. And so the circle exists to help us, number one, enhance our writing practice through self-awareness, also to nurture our creativity through healthy habits, and also create life experiences that are meaningful to us. Today, we're talking about pressing the reset button on life, what that looks like, what does that mean, particularly after the age of 40. I'm 46 years old. I'll be 47 in a few weeks. I can only speak about the the change that happens after 40 years of age. One of the things I remember my mom telling me about the 40s. She passed away at 49, but she told me about when you turn 40, for a lot of women, it's a time when you no longer accept whatever it is that you've been accepting in life. And I think I was in my late teens or early 20s when she said that. And so, of course, she had cancer at the time, and so that I'm quite sure that this was a time of a lot of change in her life at that time. And I can certainly appreciate it more at the age of 46 than I did when I was 19, 20 years old. And so I just wanted to be able to talk about that because, from the women that I've spoken to, there seems to be a lot of changes going on at 40, 50, 60, all through
Don't
the
forget
entire
70.
lifespan.
Don't forget 70 now.
70, absolutely, absolutely, 70.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I found something online that I thought that was really interesting. It said, I found it from some sort of a neuroscience
Mm-hmm.
magazine online. It says something strange is going on in women's happiness research. Because despite having more freedom and employment opportunities than ever before, women have higher levels of anxiety and mental health challenges such as depression, anger, loneliness, and more restless sleep. And these results are seen across many countries and different age groups. So it really doesn't matter where you are on the planet. For women, um, there just seems to be an issue, an ongoing issue with us as far as our own levels of happiness and how to be happy, how to maintain happiness. Um, and so I wanted to be able to take some time to be able to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So some of the things that I've experienced personally that I can speak to are things like, shifts in career, personal, trying to be able to balance, so-called balance, a personal life with being able to keep a career. Certainly health concerns is something that I can speak to. I've been a caretaker in my life, even though I don't have any children, but I've taken care of other people who had health problems. A lot of racism in the workplace, and also just general societal expectations of women in general to be and behave in a way um, that doesn't make women happy. And what makes women happy, of course, is different across the span.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she was doing work. I believe it's in her own business, working in the DEI space, the diversity, equity, and inclusion
Mm-hmm.
space. And she's African American. and she goes to one of her trainings that she does at a particular corporation, and one of the students that she was working with just sort of tells her, you know, she said she basically expressed that Black people are asking for too much, and she was afraid of she was afraid that Black people would continue to ask for more, and she was concerned. Her true concern was, um, what else do Black people want in the workplace? And she was just sort of not prepared to deal with that level of change in her life. And so my friend, who's African American, she, you know, she's exhausted. She's exhausted with trying to constantly work with it. And you know, I don't particularly blame her. I don't work in the regular workplace anymore, probably for that reason. People people are so exhausted. It's so
Yeah.
exhausting.
You know,
And so
you exhausted. That's
say that again.
like the one. Wait, who's exhausted? The woman is tired of us asking for stuff.
Yeah, but she's sick of us. A white woman is
We
tired of
sick of
Black
not.
people asking for these, and she's meant like the concern, the mental concern for her was thinking about what
Yeah,
is it that Black people are going to want in the future, and you know what else does she have to shift in her life? What does she
everything.
have to shift her
Read,
in her
read the history
discomfort?
books. Read the history
I thought
books, and she'll
we better.
find out, you know,
We
where the
for
problem lies.
we coming for it all. So just tell her
Get
coming
it?
for thinking
Sorry, not sorry.
sorry, not sorry. We coming for it all. So
Mhm.
get ready.
It just
Yeah.
happened to be coming to a head at this point because it's a phrase I've been using over the last couple of weeks. The portals have opened.
Hmm.
People's eyes, the veil is lifted, and
Hmm.
it cannot be unlifted.
Right.
So even if they don't know their history, if they don't know the deepest depths of their history, spiritually, they are awakening
Right.
because even the children are coming to the planet more aware
Hmm.
before we even begin to influence them. There's things they already know that when I was a child, I was vapid. I was like totally
That's what I'm saying.
whatever you say, I was right there. You know,
Yeah,
these kids are questioning everything. And, you know, my main concern is that, and I appreciate your friend for being conscious about all of these needs. But my main concern is the youth aren't going to take it the way we took it.
Absolutely.
They will burn this place down,
Hmm.
okay, with their words and with their actions. They're going to put both together.
and with
Hmm.
their knowledge of technology, they could screw this whole country up.
Hmm.
Yes.
They could, yeah. They ain't got to worry about nobody outside of this country taking the country down. The
Well,
youth, they
if they become politically aware, the issue with that is they're self-destructing
Right.
in many cases with technology.
Hmm.
mm,
You know, with their conversations, with their behaviors, you know, some of the conversations that I hear coming out of especially Black women's life, and I especially like that, Alana, where you mentioned, it made me write it down. I didn't even think about the fact that they research women's happiness
Yeah,
to
I
that
didn't either.
extent.
And
I
I
wrote
want to know more. It's a whole study that's been done for, I think, a couple of decades. So I'm going to go read more of it to see what.
Yes, if you could share that link or whatever with
Yeah.
us.
Hmm.
Yeah, because they're missing the mark. Whatever it is, they're missing the mark. Because I just want to say one more thing. I was at a conference, social workers conference at Medgar Evers last week, and
mm,
the men's group was there making comments, and they almost unleashed all of my feminist tendencies. I was at the back of the room. I'm so glad I wasn't at the front because I couldn't contain myself. And I have sitting next to a young lady, she maybe about early 20s, who shared my same ideas. Here's what they said. I set you off early this morning. They said, when women are communicating with men, they need to be more aware and they need to come at them a certain way. And I'm like, you sitting up there big as you could be, you know, all rough and tough with your Afro puffs, talking about we need to take the time to coddle. You're the one that's supposed to be coddling us. You're supposed to
Absolutely.
be the protectors. And so when I got to speak to the leader of the group at that time, and the irony is he's in a wheelchair, having had a stroke, and his wife is his caregiver,
Hmm.
and very engaged, a beautiful couple. But I'm saying to myself, he's internalized this. How
Yeah.
about you try to get out of that wheelchair? I mean, I don't mean no harm. If you're in it for the rest of your life, you know, please maintain. But in the meantime, there could still be hope instead of you
Absolutely.
now just collapsing yourself on your wife and then making it a full-blown philosophy of women should be taking care of their men that way. Anyway, that's my vent. Let me calm. Your thoughts?
Morning. Tish, I see you. Tish is in here. I see Jess, the nurse coach. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I was blending my smoothie after the part where you said the woman in DEI did you say she was tired or the white woman was tired?
The white woman was tired.
Oh, I presume that the sister who works in DEI is also tired because that's some hard work. I have done that work before and trying to help people become less racist when,
Mhm.
it's tiring, exhausting work. So thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely exhausting work. And what the point of why it is that I actually brought that up and why I wanted to do this class today and after speaking with a friend of mine is that women sort of need permission to be able to start over again. They feel like they've done something for a number of years, or you've trained for something and it was really hard and difficult, and you've gotten the degrees, and you become great at doing a certain thing, but it gets to a point where you're just like, I can't. The reason that I started to do this is not the reason that I continue to stay. And so we need to be able to learn how to be able to give ourselves permission to be able to say, I'm 40, 50, 60, 70 years of age plus, and I want to be able to start again. And no matter what that looks like, you have a right to be able to do that. Just because you started doing something does not mean that you have to stick with it throughout the rest of your life. And that goes for your career, that goes for your relationships in your life. It goes for, where you live in the world. You do not have to stick with what it is with what it is that may have worked for a while and move into someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
That message resonates with me a lot.
It
I'm
does,
so
Jeff.
yeah, yeah. Because I'm a nurse and like it's kind of like a sentence sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like like this badge of struggle, honor, and like when you say that, I just get this intuitive thought of what got you here is not going to get you there.
Right.
And I'm grateful for the jobs, the hourly pay, and it kept a roof over my family's head. Forgive me, but I think that that level of work and like blood, sweat, tears, soul, like giving up all that for a job is just not, I mean, that like it's not even it's not a desire anymore, and letting it go, like you said, giving yourself permission, you know, because what success looks like, you get to determine, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get to
Absolutely.
determine that, and it can change, you know, the evolution of you is ongoing, and it can always change.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much like for me right now, like there's so much tied to like success is no longer a job or doing well or any performance review or any higher level pay. It's more freedom. I think
Mm-hmm.
success looks like freedom now, you
Yeah.
know, to move about and do things in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I just jumped on, but I just wanted to share that because I appreciate everything you're saying.
Oh, great. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And so I wanted to go through at least three of the things that I have that I wrote down as sort of steps for us to be able to think about um, when we think about giving ourselves permission to be able to press the reset button on our lives. The first one is acknowledging that starting over doesn't mean that you're starting over from scratch. We're allowed to look at our lives as sort of as a playful experiment. And I didn't really sort of learn to look at my life as a playful experiment until I got a little bit older, probably into my 30s. And most of it was because a lot of us are brought up in survival mode and thinking that, you know, once you hit a certain age, you have to be able to take care of yourself because you know your parents don't have enough to be able to support you. And so you have to hurry up and you got to go to college and you got to be able to get the job that makes a certain amount of money and get your own place because you can't stay here. you have to you have to get up and go. And there's really just no time to be able to just be. You know, that's what I've been volunteering with a group of young college students. And all of them have expressed that they feel so much pressure to be able to get it right the first time at, you know, at 20, which is ridiculous. You don't know what you're doing at 20. Well, and I don't know what I'm doing at 46. I'm still guessing. But they just, and I remember feeling that way also, that they really just felt like they needed to be able to choose the right career, to choose the right internship that leads to the right paying job. And if they don't, then they'll let their parents down. And then, you know, there's a serious fear of just, you know, if I don't do this, I'm going to be homeless. It's just it's too much. And to put a mindfulness spin on that, you know, we don't have time to just be and discover. And to be able to think about what it is that we want and what is our purpose here? What is our purpose here for being? We're so extra focused on being the adult all the time. One of the things that I remember from one of probably the last jobs that I had before I shifted into doing my own thing as a business owner. I used to work at a community college, and one of the ladies, she was 38 years old at the time. She said, you know, I just need to be able to get through lunch, you know, so I don't need to stop and have a lunch break. I would just have a banana and an orange and I can just get through the lunch break. And I just sort of looked at them, you know, like what is I don't understand that. And
Mhm.
of course people looked at me like I was, you know, I was lazy and didn't want to work. But the irony of it is that probably a couple of months later, after the 38-year-old woman made that comment, she actually passed away. I don't know. She probably had some sort of a medical something that happened. But she was found in her bed on a Saturday morning by her 12-year-old daughter,
Mm.
and she was surrounded by paperwork from her job.
Mhm.
You know, and then when that happened, that was my confirmation. You know, I was hurt and sad, but I was that was my confirmation that that the thoughts that I was thinking about what was natural, what was not natural, for us to be able to follow when we follow a career path, what I was doing just wasn't it, for at least not for me. I needed to be able to go and be in a different space around people that were more understanding of creativity and discovering what else you wanted to do. And also to think about the fact that your physical belongings are not representative of your value as a human being. A lot of us are very afraid to be able to change because we believe that we'll lose what it is that we have. I've changed my life a few times and have had to get rid of stuff. And what I've learned through the process of getting rid of all the stuff is that it's not so much the accumulation of the stuff that makes me qualified to be or do anything. It's the accumulation of the experiences. It's the people that I've met and talked to. It's the things that I've learned. And I think if women sat down and took inventory of that part of their lives, what sorts of experiences have you had in your life? And if you're not satisfied with the experiences that you've had, where do you want to be? You know, that's a conversation that you should probably have with yourself. If you're not satisfied, if the stuff, the physical stuff that you've accumulated is more important to you than the actual experiences that you've had in life, then you should have a conversation with yourself about how to be able to change that. The next thing I wrote down, let's see, defining your vision for the next stage in your life. A lot of people don't know what their vision is for what it is that they would like to do. They're just very clear that where they are is not it. One of the things that I remember when I was going, at least through the last change, I think that we sort of go through changes every few years in our lives. And I think I've been lucky to be able to allow myself to go through those changes. But in the last stage of change, when I was working in education and I knew I wanted to work in food. This is how I actually met Miss Cherie. I wanted to work in food. I was learning about vegan food and raw food. And she was actually the first person who actually paid me money for a business that I really didn't even have on paper. I didn't even really have a business on paper. It was more or less an idea. And so I always look to you, Cherie, as like you really helped me to be able to say that what I wanted was actually possible. And so I think I made like raw cheesecakes and things for you. And so it was nice to be able to do things that were really that were creative, and it was fun for me to do because I was trying to learn how to be able to get my health together. It was not together at all, but I was just learning stuff. And I had put so much time and energy into being an educator. And actually that part of my life actually helps me now in trying to be able to teach adults in the mindfulness space. But I just wanted to be able to do something more creative. So I always tell people when they're not clear on what it is that they want to be able to do, is to just sit and be able to pay attention to what it is that they get excited about. So whenever I saw raw food, anything online, I would notice, my eyes would brighten up, my attention would focus. It was very easy to be able to read through things. I would go out and buy magazines without even thinking about it. I had no money for this stuff at the time. But I was willing to invest my money, my energy into this thing to be able to learn more of it. Anytime there was a class that would come through town, I would take the class. Any type of cooking class. I would travel to go to farmers markets. I would read cookbooks cover to cover. Just because I loved it. And so when you're find things that are interesting to you like that, pay attention to those things when you're trying to get more clear about what you want your vision to be for your next step in life. And also to be able to write it down. Every new experience that you have, just write it down. Because when I feel like when you write things down, you get more, it sort of leaves an imprint on your soul, so to speak, when you write these things down and your subconscious starts to work in the back of your mind. And it starts to be able to create a vision for you over time. You don't have to have it today. That part is not important. But you want to be able to give yourself time to be able to sort of figure out what it is. The fun is really in the discovery, in the process of discovering what it is that you want. American culture in particular doesn't give us time to be able to really think about that. And then also finally, just to be able to quiet the anxiety and getting comfortable with risk. Quiet the anxiety that's going on in your head and in your body and get comfortable with taking risks. Your life is not going to change unless you get up and just decide to just start moving in the direction of what it is that you want to be able to do. So, quitting the job is always going to be scary. Leaving that relationship that you've been in for 10 years is going to be scary. Deciding that you want to apply for a new job or starting a new business, moving to a new place, spending your money in a place that you haven't spent it in before. All of those things are really scary. And I actually remember the point where I knew that it was time for me to be, when you stay in a job too long. I was working in education, and that you've stayed in this job too long, and people were just sort of making hints that, my time was basically going to be up at this particular job because I kept butting heads with the administration. And I remember there in one particular day, I remember the feeling of the anxiety and the indigestion that I had in my body going on at the time. Of just sitting there and just never being able to really fully be at peace, and crying at the drop of a hat, just because I couldn't deal with where I was working, but I was so deathly afraid of what was ahead of me, because no one has ever so-called follow their dreams before. I never seen anybody do that. Everyone had always done what they felt like they were obligated to do. So we need to be able to learn how to calm that anxiety, and move towards the thing that feels risky for us, which doesn't mean that you need to, up and jump from your job tonight. But to really think about what it is that you want to be able to do. What are the small things that you need to be able to do to be able to move towards the thing that you would like? So over time, your life doesn't feel so hard. My life feels so easy and smooth now. Like it's like I'm going through a transition of what it is that I would like to create, even with this mindful writing circle. But I feel okay with what it is that I'm doing. I still have a freelance writing business, which I still enjoy. I still love it, but I know that that's not the thing that I'm going to be doing, 2, 3, 5 years from now. So I'm making the transition now that when I'm being told that it's time for me to do it, I don't have any anxiety about it. I'm looking at it as a fun experiment to be able to move forward with. You build it a little bit at a time. So those are my thoughts on learning how to be able to start your life over. I don't know if anyone had anything else to add before we move into our visualization exercise.
I was talking to a client yesterday about how fear, like, I think there's this assumption that the fear goes away, right?
Yeah.
Like, just sit here a little bit longer. Like it'll get better. And I was just thinking as you were talking, like if you're hoping that it's going to get better, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. So like you said, the best thing you can do is that's almost like get closer to the edge. Get, like I
Mhm.
think about the one and only time I quit a job without having another one. And I was
Yeah.
in grad school at the time. And I remember I was like, I can't, and I was in my 30s, young, early 30s, I think, maybe might have just turned 30. But I remember thinking, I can't quit my job without having another job. But I did, and it was fine. Right? Like I found another job,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Like
there are
literally
other opportunities out there.
like right, like you can go get another, job.
Mhm.
But yeah, just think about that now, right? Like how the practice of doing the thing that made me afraid got
Mhm.
me to where, like you, I'm living the life that I want to live. I'm living the dream that I had, literally.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's you just get practice at doing the thing you're afraid of. Like you don't get less afraid.
Absolutely.
One
You
thing
don't get less afraid.
that's a
Go ahead,
lesson
Jess.
that message is like that I share that with a lot of my clients too. Fear never goes away. You learn how to carry it better.
Mhm.
And just telling yourself that over and over and over again when that fear creeps up, remembering that feeling of what you discovered, like and embodying that feeling of there's more opportunities and
Yeah.
just making that knowing that like I like to break things down into steps so I can navigate better. And when you make space, you have to clear that crappy thing out. So like the crappy job, right? Or the crappy food or whatever. You have to make space for whatever it is you're trying to manifest new.
Mhm.
So and that kind of takes the fear away a bit for me. So I can, ground and
Yeah.
get clear on where I'm going.
Mhm.
Yeah. Fear is a sign that you're alive. That's how you know you're living.
Yeah, oof,
If
that's
you're not
true.
afraid, you're not living. You like
Yeah.
just existing. So I believe freedom
Absolutely.
requires fear. Like you have to have fear. It's like this
Mhm.
some type of moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for so many of us, we turn our feelings off to be able to cope with life. Because I know I certainly did that. I learned that from my parents, like turning off your feelings to be able to cope with, to be able to just to cope with life in general. That's an awful way to live. Absolutely awful. Who wants to do that? I want to be able to, I want to be excited about something. I want something to look forward to.
Listen, anything. I was excited about that spinach I made yesterday. Peppers and onions. I said, oh, lime juice. We doing some things in here. Like you literally can't be excited about anything, and it's okay. That's living. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
Absolutely. All right, so let's see. We're almost at 40 after the hour. I wanted to do a visualization. It's not necessarily a meditation, but a visualization to help people to relieve anxiety. Because I think that's important. I like for people to be able to leave our sessions feeling like they have a tool of some kind to be able to support them as they, learn these some people, it may be a new thought, to be able to give themselves permission to be able to move forward with the next stage of their lives. And so if you're feeling fearful, if you're feeling a lot of anxiety, there are ways to be able to start to settle yourself so that you can start to actually make more rational decisions. When we're feeling a lot of anxiety, or when we feel worry, or if we're having an all-out anxiety attack, your brain actually jumps to the absolute worst case scenario. You can't make any rational decisions in that space. You sort of cower in one space, and you don't make a move because you're too afraid. And so you can use this sort of a visualization exercise to imagine the absolute best possible scenario for yourself. And so when we get to a space where we can grab hold of our mind, we can be more rational, and be able to make more decisions that actually support us in our next stage in life. So what I actually do when we get to this point is I cut the video off so that we can focus on what it is that we are looking at inside of our mind's eye. And we just sort of relax and get comfortable in our space. If you can sit in a space where you can sort of sit in a comfortable upright position. And what you do is you just start to let your shoulders sort of drop down and relax in its space. If you'd like, you can sort of stretch your neck a bit just to be able to get it comfortable. Move it from the left to the right, and back and forth. Move your neck around in circles in both directions. You can place the palms of your hands on your knees. You can place them down or face them in an upright position. And with your feet, you want to place your feet flat on the floor if that's comfortable. You can also sort of sit in a cross-legged position if that works for you as well. And you just start to relax. If you'd like, you can put your hand over your heart just to sort of be able to connect yourself to your heart space. And just pay attention to how you're breathing. Just allow your breath to sort of relax into its own natural rhythm. And if you notice, your heart rate will sort of get in sync with the rhythm of your breath. You can notice the air that sort of circulates around you and feel what that feels like. Do you hear birds in the background? Maybe it's the sound of ongoing traffic. And if in your mind's eye, you can imagine yourself sitting in a chair, you'll see yourself sitting in a chair. Nothing is really special is going on. It's just yourself. Yourself and the outside elements. Let's go ahead and visit the beach today in our minds. What does the beach feel like? Let's check in with our senses to be able to experience the beach in our minds. So in our mind's eye, can you see how bright the sun is shining on your face? Maybe you have to cover your eyes with your hands because the sun is so bright. Maybe you're squinting. What do you see with your eyes in your mind's eye when you're on the beach? Take a moment to feel the sand in between your toes. Take a moment to wiggle your feet around in the sand. You can look down and see how the sand sort of squishes in between each toe. You can also feel the heat of the sun against your skin. And it's just sort of like a nice warm, it's not too hot, just warm enough to let you know that you're outside on the beach and you can work on your tan if that's what you want to do. And you can hear the birds, the seagulls, perhaps. You can hear the wind blowing across your ears. Listen to the sound of the waves crashing against the sand. You can taste the wind as it carries the sea spray to your lips. It's very light, salty taste of the sea. And what do you smell when you're at the beach? Perhaps you smell the foods from the boardwalk, perhaps. Maybe there's, hot pretzels or funnel cakes. Maybe there's the smell of fish grilling, fresh fish grilling at your favorite store, your favorite restaurant. And you can feel this all at one time, using all your 5 senses. Continue to breathe normally. And you can just sort of sit with this image of peace and tranquility. This is your space that you can return to anytime that you would like. Your beach space. You're the only person that's on this beach. No one to interrupt you. There's no rush. Take a moment to breathe deeply. And now that you've been on the beach for a little bit, you can return to your life, except this time, your anxiety will be reduced. You'll be much more calm. Your thinking will be clear. And you're ready to make your next move. And so I'm going to count backwards from 5. to bring us back to our normal space. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And when you're ready, if you would like to, you can return to the video. Now we only have about 10 minutes. And so I would like to, we usually do journal questions at this time, but I can give you the journal questions. I think it would be more valuable for us to just be able to discuss it if you would like to. Or just, bring up whatever it is that you would like to be able to bring up at this point, would also be welcome. And so the first journal question is to identify a fear that is holding you back from starting over in your life. Put that in the chat. Fear that is holding you back. So that's important to be able to identify when you write that down. We can't analyze or start to change or make plans for things that we don't identify. So that's important. The next question is, define courage on your own terms. What does a woman who embodies courage look, act, and sound like? Define courage on your own terms. What does a woman who embodies courage look, act, and sound like? And then the third question is, what's the first small step I can take to start my life anew today? What's the first small step I can take to start my life anew today? So if anyone has anything that they want to share, I know you've shared so much already, but if you have anything else that you wanted to add, I'll be open to hear it.
I'd like to answer those questions out loud.
Sure.
Yeah. So identify a fear that is holding you back from starting over in your life. A fear that it will not be in motion, like the bridge won't connect to the land, like right before, the savings runs out.
Mhm.
Will I have things in motion? That's a fear. Define courage on your own terms. So courage on my own terms is living my life in the way that makes me happy, and
Mhm.
knowing that in doing so, I'm fulfilling my contract for the reason why I have life, so that I am, I'm being most useful in my human role.
Mhm.
What does a woman who embodies courage look like? She probably looks insane to the rest of the world.
Absolutely, she does.
Yeah, like she's lost. What do the kids say? Like she's Delulu. That's what the kids say. Like she's Delulu.
Just being the Lulu.
Yeah. I just think that's the funniest term to think. I love the slang of today. I really do.
Mhm.
Um, and act like she probably acts a little Delulu, because you've had to lose your old mind in order to do the things that bring about courage.
Mhm.
So I imagine that's what that looks like, Delulu again.
Mhm.
And sound like it sounds courageous if you're speaking to the right people. Like my support, um they they too have a someday that they would like to become today, something that they would like to do and bring it forth today, like I have done. So to them, it looks courageous and it looks inspirational.
Mhm.
Um, and then what's the first small step I can take to start my new life today? Well, I actually took it today. Someone asked me what I needed. Someone I saw, he hired 2 assistants today. And he was like, I'm gonna have to let go of one of them. Do you need one? I was like, I actually do. He said, what would you have them do? And I was like, well, I need organization, and yeah, I need organization and action. And
Mhm.
he said, well, um, he said they're working part-time. He goes, he has 2 working part-time. So I'm kind of thinking about that. I'm like, I don't know if I could afford them, but I don't know. I didn't ask. So I need to like just keep asking questions and see what it is. Unfold the whole package before tell myself, like before I talk myself out of something that may be a gift to myself. So that was my small action for today.
Awesome.
Mm. Thank you for asking those questions, Lona. And your
Yeah.
cheesecake was bomb.
That was so long ago.
No,
I need to
like
be
the
able to
kids
make
say,
those cheesecakes again.
girl, like bussin'. That's what the kids say. And I digress.
They were delicious.
Whew.
And I really like what you said about having saying that you need to be able to lose your old mind in order to be able to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I had first moved to Thailand, and I was speaking to one of my friends, and she had seen that there was sort of a change going on in me for quite a while.
Right.
And I was starting to get to a point where I guess she felt like I was feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and she mentioned, oh, you finally you can get back to being the old Halana. And I stopped her.
Mm-mm.
I said, oh no, to Halana, that the Halana is dead. The Halana that you used to know, and I you used
Yeah.
the word dead. And
Mm-hmm.
that sort of shocked her. And
Yeah.
I probably she worried about me after I said dead. But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You can't say that, right? Lord have mercy.
but really it
Mm-hmm.
was more of a what I was talking about was that the person that she used to know me to be,
Exactly.
that person has to die in order for this new Halana to emerge. And I didn't know who this new Halana was about to be.
Mm-hmm.
I had bought into the process. I sounded deluded. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I said.
Lulu.
I was so bought into the process of change at that point in my life that I was just willing to just do whatever. And I said she was dead. That old person was dead. She's not here.
She had to
Don't
die.
call her. She's not here.
Yeah. She doesn't respond the same. So it's moot to even like people can't speak to me the same way. And plus I don't relate to a lot of things anymore. You ever notice that? Like as you move into your new self, you don't relate to the things that you used to relate to purposely.
You
And
know,
you
as
don't
you
give
said that,
audience. I'm sorry, you don't give audience to the things you used to give audience to. It's like going faster.
as you talked about the old person had to die, it reminded me of how, you know, when people complete a rites of passage of some sort, they get another name.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just reminds me, you know, of, yeah, like you're a different person, right? Like you are in another space, like call you by the new name, right? Like, all right, well, what's your new name then?
No name.
Mhm.
You know.
Don't call you, huh? No forwarding address.
Yeah.
All right, it's the top of the hour. I want to respect everyone's time because I know we all have other things that we would like to do. But thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's input today. Jess, thank you. I know this is your first time joining us and your input has been valuable. I appreciate you being here. Miss Cherie, I thank you for being here from all the way from Bali. I don't know what time it is over there.
It's 9:00, 9 p.m. It's all right.
Okay.
It's all right. Gojek delivered me a little shake. I'm good. Them coconut shakes be busting.
Oh, Jess says, I'm grateful for this group. Thank you so much, Jess. I'm grateful for you being here.
Look, since you
Miss
talked
Carolyn?
about Gojek, order me a massage. Order a massage and think about me on
And
Gojek.
send it over. Where
Girl,
are you?
right there, get it for you.
Oh, Natisha, where are you?
I'm in Mexico. I'm right upstairs from Milan.
Oh, that's
Literally.
fabulous.
Well, I'm on the third floor.
That is
I
so
love it.
fabulous.
I love it. I love it. I love
Halana,
it.
I'm writing my blog today, and I would like to write about this circle. And
Okay,
I would like to include those questions quoting you. May I?
absolutely. I would appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming every week. You've been here every week since I started. Thank you so much for being supportive.
Absolutely. I can't miss it. It starts right now,
Absolutely.
just right.
You and Natisha, you've been here every week. So I appreciate you all being here. And yeah, that's all I have for today.
Thank
Say it
you.
again.
You're the only thing in my life that got an alarm. I ain't waking up and by no alarm. Like, let me
I
set it
know that's right. I love it. Oh, Natisha, you're everything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Halani, I have to say, you're a good thing to wake up to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
sis, you are.
You really are. It's so inspiring, and to follow you on Facebook and see your growth, you know, and having read your story and heard you tell your story. It's just, you know, I want to be just like you when I grow up.
Oh. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll close out the circle. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. For people who are watching the replay on YouTube, I hope that you decide to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We do this every Wednesday. If you want to be reminded so that you can be on the Circle Live, you can click on the link in the description to be on the email list. And you'll get weekly reminders as well as other meditation and mindfulness things in your email. So thank you so much. I'll see you all next week.
Take care. Bye, ladies. Love you
Enjoy the
all.
day. Be well.
Mhm.
Bye.